All right, so we're live. Guys, welcome to Real Life JA on JML Entertainment TV. I am your host, Shane Reed. We are sponsored by Sky Beach Restaurant Bar and Grill, and we're located in Hopewell, Hanover. We must apologize for the late start. We are having some um, internet issues. Our special guest this evening is Reneil Clarke. He is the immediate past president for JCI Jamaica. Mr. Clarke, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for having me here this evening.
Um, how are you hearing me? I think I'm hearing a feedback. I don't know if it's from my end. I don't know if you are hearing that feedback.
No, I'm not hearing a feedback. I'm hearing you clearly.
All right. And I don't know if anybody has joined yet. If they can comment to say whether they are hearing us clearly. So, Renee, I don't know if any of our friends can say whether they are hearing us clearly before we get into the questions and further the discussion. Because, as I said, um, Bell's internet is not at its best because he's the one hosting the platform. So,
I'm seeing a message. Not hearing anything. Sent directly to WhatsApp. So, let me just pop over and ask them to check again. All right, so I'm doing a sound check. Right.
All right, I see somebody. Yes, Shane, I'm hearing you.
Yeah,
Right, thank you.
I'm here as well on my other device, so we're good to go.
All right, yeah, and guys, apologies. We're just coming out of um, a lady that rabbits us. I am good with internet, but Bell is having a difficult time. Please let me know if you are hearing any echo. I just need to know if you're. So just comment to see if you're, because before we get the conversation started, and apologies again, guys, for this. All right, Mr. IPP, I think we're ready to go.
Wonderful.
All right, so as a preamble, I met you in 2020 during COVID. Yeah, that was an event that changed our life forever. So basically, use one adjective to describe Reneil.
I mean, I think it's a verb and not an adjective, or it could be. I think it's an adjective. When I think Reneil, I think of aspired, right? Because I am always trying to move forward. So aspired, that's the adjective / verb.
/ verb. So what's your spirit animal?
You know, I actually had to do research on this before for for another interview, and I think I am somewhere between a wolf and a fox. Now let me explain.
But those are not good. I thought you were gonna say dog or cat.
No,
Wolf
no.
and fox.
And I mean, in our culture, you know, if I use dog, they might get the wrong. But somewhere between a wolf and a fox. Because when I think of Reneil and who Reneil is, I think of somebody who is protective, somebody who is loyal, but also somebody who is quick-witted, and who tries to, you know, explore innovative ways to solve problems. So I think I'm somewhere in between, some hybrid of wolf and fox.
So what do you call the hybrid of a wolf and fox? What's that? Do you have a name for it? Do you have a title for it?
Mm, is that like a wax? But I'll
Yeah,
have to figure it out.
yeah. That's your assignment for your next interview.
I promise.
All right, all right. Hobbies.
Hobbies. All right. So I do like to scroll social media. I think there's so much going on, and so I'm one of those persons who scroll and try to glean, especially when it comes
That's
on to news
that's a
items.
hobby now.
It's a hobby now. I think it's an actual hobby now. I thoroughly enjoy watching, you know, consuming content. Usually things like
Mhm.
documentaries on YouTube. I might be on Netflix here and there. I'm currently on the Blacklist, right, which I think is an excellent series. A little anime here and there. But you know, I like to consume, not necessarily food, but content and ideas and information. I also, when I get the chance, I'll hit the basketball court to relive my glory days, my younger days, when my knees were young and all of that. But you know, hobbies, those
You're
are the
just you're in your 20s. So what type of knees are you talking about?
I'm talking about the 16-year-old knees. You know, they were younger. You know, if you think about it, they were younger.
Yeah. So I didn't know that you play basketball.
Yes, man. I represented Jamaica's top all boys school, Ulmos Boys, back in my younger days. And then I got to college and I saw everybody dunking and shooting from the half court and decided that I should focus on student leadership instead. But yes, I did back in the days.
Okay. So I assume then that basketball is your favorite sport.
Yes, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
But you're very much Americanized then, I'm assuming.
I am not Americanized, but basketball is my favorite sport, but I'm not Americanized. I just think that um, it is one of, if not the most dynamic sport there is. It is, you know, just an interesting engagement of your full autonomy, right? You use your hands for dribbling, you're running, you're jumping higher than most sports require. You know, if you look at all the other sports, I feel like in comparison to basketball, they're a little one-dimensional or two-dimensional. But basketball requires everything. IQ has, you know, everything. So I just feel like it is creme de la creme of sports.
Well, I've always thought that is the bastardized version of netball, but
No,
my apologies.
I think netball might be the bastardized version of basketball. I'll have to check the history. Basketball, but then they take away the dribbling and they take away the jumping and dunking. So, you know, but I enjoy netball occasionally as well. I think it's a great sport for discipline, especially if you enjoy basketball. You know, it's interesting.
All right. So who is your favorite team in the back?
Ah, at the risk of being called a bandwagon, right? I am with the Lakers because LeBron James is with the Lakers. So I will cheer for any team that LeBron James plays for. However, in
Hmm.
terms of team culture, I enjoy watching the Spurs and the Heat over the years. I think they have a very good team culture that is, enduring regardless of who the players are. You see the same culture shining. So in terms of team culture, I enjoy the Spurs and the Heats, but then I'll be rooting for any team that has LeBron James as a player. You know,
So who is your basketball icon?
LeBron James, without a doubt.
Oh, without a doubt. I thought it would be Michael Jordan or something like that. Or,
Michael Jordan is amazing. But when I think of the greatest basketball player of all time, I think of LeBron James. And I think
so what about my guy there? He plays for Steph Curry, I think his name. Your views on Steph Curry?
Steph Curry is an excellent player. I think
Mhm.
he is easily a top 15 player of all times, and or of all time rather. And I think that when it's all said and done, he could ease himself into the top 10, though it is a very competitive space. But then ultimately, all of this is subjective. I've seen persons saying that they think he's already top 5. So it is very subjective, but I think he's an amazing player, very talented.
All right, so thank you very much, Mr. Reneil Clarke, immediate past president for JCI Jamaica. Those of you who have joined us so far, I am your host, Shane Reed, and this is Real Life JA on JBL Entertainment TV. We're sponsored by Sky Beach Restaurant Bar and Grill. Thank you for joining us, and please share the live feed. And must apologize if you see any glitches, for example, in my internet or Mr. Clarke's internet, you understand that we are still dealing with the effects of Melissa. So please stick and stay with us. This is going to be a wonderful interview. And if you have any questions to ask, you can just put them in the chat and we will ask Reneil to answer. So we just spoke about sports, so you're a basketball guy. Let's get to primary school, high school. How was that?
Ah, you know, if you would permit me just a quick minute. Earlier today, I was driving to get a haircut, right? And you can see that, I'm
Yeah,
looking at,
boss man.
yeah, rather clean.
Yeah.
Um, I was passing a primary school, one of my primary school teachers, and I
Mhm.
slowed down. It was raining. I slowed down, wound down my window, and I said, "Hey, Miss Palmer." And she looked and then she touched her, she placed her finger on her head, almost as though she was going through that mental library. And then she said, Reneil, how are you? And it's just a reminder of how amazing teachers are. I feel
Mhm.
I don't think they get enough credit so often in so many of our conversations. Um, because for her, or for me rather, she's my grade 5 teacher. So she's a staple in my life and in my development. But for
Mhm.
her, I would have been one of hundreds, if not thousands, of children,
Yeah.
should have
Mhm.
over the few decades she has been at that primary school. And for her to remember, it could say that I left an impression. But I do think it ultimately speaks more to how noble and esteemed teachers are. So big up to all the teachers. And Miss Palmer, if you're somehow listening to this interview, big up yourself as well. Right. No, I forgot the question. Give me a second. Let me touch my head as well and see.
Primary school. How was primary school? How was high school? And what's the name of the primary school?
So that is the St. Peter Claver Primary School. And
Good
primary
school.
yes, thank you very much. Uh, it was also the school my father would have attended quite some years before I would have attended. Uh,
Mhm.
Primary school was great. It was an opportunity for me to understand myself, I believe. As a child growing up, I did quite well academically, as I'm sure you'd be inclined to believe, and it would have been great. A lot of reading. I remember walking to school with my bag looking bigger than it should be, and my mother checking it and seeing that I was carrying an encyclopedia I had received as a gift. to school because that was what I wanted to read throughout my breaks. So primary school was really an opportunity for me to, I believe, zone into the academic and the intellectual individual that my parents had raised me to be. But then high school was very different. I got to high school. Again, Wolmer's Boys High School, the top all boys school in Jamaica. And it, all of a sudden I was no different. I remember at primary school, I was, get exam results and I would be top boy or I'd be somewhere near the. I got to Wolmer's and I remember one of the first conversations during orientation were two guys debating because one got 99.9 and one got 99.7 and they were wondering, who is really smarter. And I was looking at my 93 and thinking, well, it's not me. it getting to Wolmer's and all of a sudden, it was going out of that small tank that was St. Peter Cliff and going into the wider, this bigger ocean. And now there are all of these intellects from right across Jamaica, it was very different. And it at some point it led to me being a lot less motivated to be the academic because that was no longer unique, that was no longer special. Everybody here was an academic. Everybody here was some top boy at their school or some this or some that. And in the process of redefining my character, I think at some point I'd have lost my character. And then basketball came into play and I went from being a little chubby to being a little tall. And then at some point I was lifting weights and doing some push-ups. You might not see the results now, but I promise. But it really was an interesting time as I had the chance to grow amongst some of the finest young men in Jamaica. And as I had the chance to further nurture some of my, some of my innate talents and become who I am today. That would have been the foundation for me. So going from the nerd at St. Peter Clever Primary School to Reneil, Wolmer's Boys High School. It was an interesting process as I matured and got taller and started getting the girl them interest and all of that stuff. An interesting transition in my overall story.
In your response, psychologically and philosophically and sociologically, the idea that you at St. Peter at Cleaver, you are a top student. You move to Wolmer's, you are amongst a set of top students, and you automatically feel as if you are no longer top.
No, because I think a part of it was at the primary school level, being top student. I feel like it came a lot more naturally, right? It was, we were doing a lot of the rudimentary education, if I should call it that. And as somebody who was an avid reader, and my father who loves maths, he had me and my younger brother CJ, big up CJ. He had us doing advanced mathematics. So I don't remember where he was getting these books, but I was in 5th grade doing 7th grade maths and 8th grade maths. And I enjoyed science, so I was reading through these science notebooks and textbooks from even the high school level. And it was so easy having had that as my hobby, going home in the evenings and reading these science books, doing extra maths at the behest of my father. It was so easy to go into school the other day and do this test with my eyes closed and get a 90, get a 95, get a 96, whatever the case was. Get into high school and now you're exposed to all of these different subjects and the basic science that I thought I enjoyed and loved and knew a lot of. You get to high school and now it's broken into different things. You start with the integrated science and then you go into the chemistry and the physics and the biology, and now you're going to all of these deeper waters. And it was no longer, oh, it comes naturally. No, it was, I have to study, I have to commit, I have to sacrifice more. And while that was happening at school, at home my hobbies were changing. Right now I was spending a little less time reading and a little less time practicing maths, and I was spending more time watching TV, spending more time playing basketball. I was, so there were, while those two, more than two, while those several factors were changing around, I think it was just that natural conclusion that I am no longer naturally near the top or at the top. And so it's either I will work hard to get to the top or I'll find some other top to be at that comes naturally. And I feel
And
like,
and that was basketball.
I wouldn't even say that was basketball, because Jamaica, we have some very talented athletes. And even boys, I wasn't at the top of the basketball. We had some amazing athletes, and then we played some of those other teams. Amazing athletes, right? Shout out Arden High School, who I think, their basketball program is underrated, but they've produced some amazing basketball players. Shout out Jamaica College. Shout out Casey, although we don't really, but shout out Casey. Shout out Calabar. I remember some of those bouts with Calabar, and man, they had some crazy athletes. So I wasn't top of any of that, but what I think happened, and what I think happened to a lot of us as people, is that we create this artificial top in our head, right? It is this category that is adjacent to complacency, but we can be the top of that. So I can be the best Reneil, even if the best Reneil is a mediocre student, a mediocre basketball player, a mediocre cricket player, a mediocre whatever. I might not be the best at any of those things, but then we look at everything combined and the little here and the little there, and we feel like, you know what, it is enough. And I feel like I fell into that corner, and I was content in that corner.
We'll develop this at some point in the future, but we got to move on. We got to move on. All right, so I'm sure you left high school with a couple of CXC, so.
Yes.
All right, so you are a pastor's child, and one of the things about us as Jamaicans, we say pastor and then bad picnic. So, are you one of those? Or were you one of those?
In fact, if you and the viewers squint and angle your head at the right angle, you might see the halo above my head. No, man, I'm not one of the bad ones at all. Although I'm not sure bad ones will say they're the bad ones either. But I am one of the well-behaved ones, and I trust that none of your viewers have any different opinions. I have really done my best to live a life that I'm proud of, and more importantly, a life that I believe God is proud of. And is because for me, it's not just being pastor's son, right? And big up Bishop Clifton Clarke and his beautiful wife Sophia. But it's not just being pastor's son, but it was also being pastor's eldest son. And so I'm the eldest of 5 with 3 boys following me, and then a beautiful princess several years after, I thought that the bishop and his beautiful wife had stopped procreating.
Yeah.
So it is me. There is CJ Clifton Jr. 2 years after me. There's Kenneth Roy Clarke 3 years after CJ, and then there's Devon 2 years after Kenneth, and then 9 years after there is the rose amongst. Well, we're not thorns, but the rose amongst the gentlemen. That's Reneil Clarke, who I'm 16 years older than. So
Wow.
it's Bishop got his quiver full. And so for me growing up, it wasn't just about being a pastor's son, but it was also about being pastor's children or the eldest of pastors, Clifton Clarke, children. And so it meant living a life that can serve as an example to my younger brothers initially. Um, and being the type of gentleman, the type of Christian gentleman that I would want to see them grow into. And so while I certainly am not perfect, and I think anyone who claims to be is far there from it than most of us. I certainly am not perfect, but I've done my best, and I believe that my brothers would have been able to pull some good examples, and now they are fine young men. So I will lay claim to some of it. Maybe a smudge, but some of it.
This is not one of the questions, but I think I have to ask this. Brian and I are my baby brother and I. We're 10 years apart, and it's kind of strange because when he's growing up, I'm kind of out of the house. What's it been like having a sibling and you're 16 years apart? How do you deal with
It has been interesting. I tell people that I feel like it has helped in some ways to mature that fatherliness in me, because ever so often, we'd go out in public together, and oh, daddy and him daughter and that kind of thing. In fact, I remember it was 2020, the height of COVID, and I would have done a stint with the electoral office that ended in September. And I was, I would have been unemployed between September and the end of November. And for that period, I was really, my parents' chief errand guy. They had me going left, right, and center. And a part of that was, bringing her around. She had just started school that year. So bringing her around, I brought her to all her medicals. If there was anything I had to do for them in the evening, I'd pick her up from school first, and then she'd be tagging along with me, going left, right, and center. And it did allow us to create that bond, a very close bond as brother and sister. But also it helped, as I say, it helped to mature that fatherly aspect of Reneil Clarke.
Interesting. All right, so viewers, I'm going to pause here and welcome those of us who have joined late. I am Shane Reed, your host. This is Real Life JA on JBL Entertainment TV, and we're back. Apologies for the late start earlier. Our special guest is the 2025 National President for JCI Jamaica, Mr. Reneil Clarke. Young man that I believe, and I think a lot of persons believe and know that he has a bright future. We do not know if it's in ministry, if it's in law, or politics, or entrepreneurship, or whatever it is. But we will see. So thank you for joining us. If you have any questions for us to ask, you can put it in the chat online, and it will pop up somewhere there. Please share the live link and stay with us as we continue to get to know more about Mr. Reneil Clarke. So, Bossman, how did you handle the church? Because I grew up as a traditional Baptist, and we always see New Testament folks as being a little bit strict. stricter than Baptist, especially as it relates to genes and all of those things, etc. And how did you handle all of those expectations as a pastor child?
All right, so
how did you deal with the pressure?
Right, so my answer to this, I think, is a lot. At least based on my experience, it is quite different from a lot of PKs. Where my parents, I think what my parents did for us growing up was that they set expectations and they communicated expectations in a way that allowed us to understand that they're not holding us to their expectations. They're holding us to God's expectations. And I think a lot of Christian parents fail to do that. I know quite a few people, not a lot, but quite a few people. And I hear the stories. And I think a lot of Christian parents fail to do that. So for us, it was a matter of we're not growing up particularly perturbed about what mommy might think or what daddy might think when we're pondering doing something that we shouldn't. It is more of what would God think? Based on his word, what would he expect of me in this situation? And so our thought process developed into one where if we set out to do something wrong, it is less about how this might affect my relationship with my parents and more how might this affect my relationship with God. But then there are also at some points, where the relationship with the parents, with our parents, would have been a little more foremost in our minds than that relationship. As you're growing up and you're thinking of this and that and the third. No, my parents, they gave us a certain amount of room, and my understanding of it was they wanted us to have a glimpse of what is happening in the world and choose to not be in the world, right? And so in primary school they'd allow us to go to the little fair day and look around, see what's happening, go on the rides. They have a dancing room. Look in the dancing room, you guys see people dancing this and dancing that and doing some dances that children shouldn't be doing. And you can see what is out there, but we want you to understand that there's greater within the perfect will of God and within the space of God. And I think that did so much for us as children and as the young men that we are now, because it was never a case of we're living in this jail, in this prison, or we have these reins that are tightly strung about our necks. And so the moment we get to pull the reins off or the jail cell door open, then we are running off to try out everything and to dabble and dibble. No, it was a matter of, well, there is that, but this is what you should be choosing. So you can look over there and see what is happening. You can look over there and understand what is happening. But don't dibble, don't dabble. Remember what is righteous and what is expected of you. And so even at points where, I might have felt like dibbling a little and dabbling a little, I will always remember that, greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. And that will always, have always and continues to keep me grounded and to keep my head, firmly screwed into my body.
And I think that when your parents, whether or not they are bishop or bishop's wife, when your parents are not nominal Christian, as in when they are genuine Christians, it makes it easier for you to discover Christ through them. So you are interested in getting to know Christ. So your parents don't become, at least for me, my mother didn't become this beast, as in say, oh, do this and do that, and you can't, because she exhibited, she evidently walked in in the anointing, which was clear in, and not only in church but in at home. But then she also walked in grace and all of these things, and so it allowed you to just develop a different idea of who God is and how to deal with all of the rules. I understand where you're coming from. Yeah,
Right. Yeah, and
yeah, yeah.
it's very
But
important. It's very important that parents and Christians aren't just Christians at church.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And it is something that we tend to miss. We tend to
Mhm.
miss it. It's a sore point because we can
Yeah,
be the Christianest Christians at church. We can jump and spin for those that are in churches that jump and spin. And for those who don't jump and spin, they can sing the hymns with the richest voices. We come back home and we're terrible people. We're in the
yeah,
works.
yeah.
And if you want to know the latest gossip, if you want to see who was fighting yesterday or cussing this morning or who was doing that or doing that, look for the Christian sister. And it is very unfortunate, but it is the truth. And I think scripture shows us ever so often that
Mhm.
it is through our lives that we are able to win souls for Christ. I mean, this is not TV.
I really just. Yeah. So let's not get to the theological aspects of our brain. Yeah, let's leave that. That's for another time. Let's not get there already. Yeah, yeah, because you're kind of triggering, yeah, triggering that side of me. I'm not going to go there. No,
We're not going to preach. It's fine.
we're not going to reach. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on. So late teen, early adulthood. You went to college. What did you pursue?
All right. So that's a long story. But
But don't give us the long story tonight.
so I pursued a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration at the Excelsior Community College. Right, big up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Why did you pursue Bachelor of Science though?
Bring us. You're going into the long story, now, but let me.
Yeah, all right. And next time, and next time. So you pursue Bachelor of Science because,
Right.
guys, and this is like a little podcast. This is not a typical interview. So one of the things I said to Reneil before this, I said, Reneil, we are both chatterboxes, and Bell has given us 1 hour minimum, maximum 2 hours. And we're not passing beyond that. So please let us ensure that we just cut certain things short and we don't just chat. So we're gonna follow that rule that we set for each other, and we're gonna cut certain things short. So, but college was fun though.
College was fun. That was where I would have really leaned into the youth leader and youth advocate that I am today.
Mhm.
And so it would have been a time of discovery, of exploration, of learning and growth. I would have served in several capacities. Student Union Vice President for 2 years, then Student Union President. I am the 2016 Mr. Excelsior Community College, and I'm sure that once our live audience sees my smile, they understand why, right? I would have served in the UCCF, that's the University and Colleges Christian Fellowship, as VP, then President, then VP. I would have served as a peer counselor and several other positions within the institution. And then on the national level, I spent 4 years with the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students. So the first tenure was as the Associate Undersecretary, and then I was elected in 2019 to serve as the General Secretary for JUTS. I would have been a Janeway ambassador. Big up Jane for the opportunity. I bank with them today. I think they are our finest banking institution, and CIBC is fairly close second. I would have been a youth parliamentarian in 2019. Quite a few things. I used to like looking at the CV and feeling accomplished at my young age. So college was great. College was great. And I want to quickly shout out some amazing lecturers. All of my amazing lecturers, because if I start calling names, I won't get all of them.
You're gonna mean problem, yeah.
all my amazing lecturers from Excelsior Community College. You, to this day, the man I am, I carry a piece of each of every one of you in my heart. You would have played a phenomenal role in my development, in my growth. And if you think I am talking about you, then I'm talking about you. Thank you.
Lessons learned from college.
Lessons learned. Well, Mrs. Dow told me that she thinks I might be late for my wedding,
Oh gosh.
She thinks I might be late for my wedding, but I'm charming enough for my wife to forgive me. And
I so get to that story, guys, and you know what? You're gonna hear why I'm laughing. But anyhow, considering you're gonna be late for your wedding.
Yes,
All right.
Charming enough for my wife to forgive me. And what is interesting is that when she said it, in the moment I felt good, but then afterwards it felt like a challenge to not be late for my wedding. So still very charming, right? And I'm sure my wife will appreciate the charm, but to not be late for my wedding. And from, a statement like that, I can pull several lessons, because one of the lessons is that it is important to be aware of where you're falling short. It is also important to have persons around you who are able to communicate where you're falling short, especially in a way that you can readily accept the feedback so that you can be better. But then another lesson, very important lesson, is that in this life, we will have some God-given skills and talents. We will have some skills and talents that we had to hone through years of hard work and growth and development. And it is important that we lean on these things, right? So I will not be late for my wedding, ladies and gentlemen, but I will definitely be charming. So that is one of the many lessons. But throughout college and all the leadership, I learned a very important rule, I think a very important principle in leadership, at least for me. And that is, in leadership, there will be times when your leadership or where your life is do what I say and not as I do. Because as a leader, there are times you'll be called to make sacrifices that you would not expect of anyone else, and sacrifices that you are making so that others don't have to make it. And even and you would have been in the transition meeting for JCI Jamaica, and even as I presented my report and I went through my expenditure for last year, I was hoping, and I am hoping, that they take it as a lesson, right? So do as I say, and I say that we should engage more sponsors. We should do more fundraising activities, but don't do as I do or as I did, which was to really, really sacrifice. And that was something,
including your clothes and jacket soon. Let's not go there.
But that was one of those things I learned in college, and it has remained true. So much as I learned, and I'm again really grateful for the opportunity and the experience.
All right, guys. So thank you for joining us again. If you're just joining us, this is Real Life on JBL Entertainment TV. I'm your host, Shane Reed, and we're sponsored by Sky Beach Restaurant Bar and Grill. Our very special guest tonight is the erudite, a young man with a bright future, immediate past president for JCI Jamaica, Reneil Clarke. I must apologize for any glitches that you might see in this live feed, because every now and then you will see Reneil go static, or even myself go static. We're still dealing with issues of the internet and all of that, but Bell was adamant that we have been if and but in too long, and we just need to get things started. So here we are. So thank you for joining us. Please share the live feed, share, send it to all our new friends and family, his past girlfriends, and some hearts that he broken along the way. Send it to all of them so that they can join and watch us, etc., etc., etc. So guys, thank you for watching us, and Reneil, thank you for being such a good guest. so far.
Thank you,
So
Patrick.
not to say that your biography and all those stuff wasn't important, but I think we're going to get into the real meat of the matter. How
Right.
we met, how I got the chance to know you 5 or 6 years ago. So, how the heck did you find out about JCI? How did that happen?
We said no long topics, But let me
Hmm.
summarize. My JCI experience, right? It to this day it feels mythical, mystical, divine. What had happened was I would have met um, Senator Odell Marsh, right, our 2023 national president. I met him years before in the youth leadership space. So I was youth, and I would be going to these functions and we'd run into each other and we'd have conversations and blah blah blah. Every now and then we'd message and cool youth. When I was in the youth parliament, he was one of the persons assigned to work with my team. We were developing position papers for or regarding climate change, and so that is where we'd have gone from associates to friends, and we'd have had conversations and the back and forth, and then I would have purchased, right, very important, I purchased this nice S8 Plus, the youth month 2019, because I had the parliamentary sitting and all of these things, and I wanted nice phone that can take nice pictures. Purchased it, had my nice phone taking nice pictures, and then it was January 2nd or 3rd. I went to a worship event. On my way back, the phone was not turning on, and when I checked, I realized that it was 1 day past the warranty period, so I couldn't bring it back. And I was not going to spend any money buying a big phone. So I said, let me try out the banger life. And I had a little banger phone. For those who are, if you have an international guest, those are the non-smartphones. And it was an easier life, If you want me, you call me or you email me or you SMS me. And so I was no longer as in demand as before. It was a peaceful life. I stuck with it. Pandemic came, things slowed down. I got my first job out of college in July. Literally, I started a week after submitting my final paper. And a week into the job, my supervisor said, you need a smartphone so we can WhatsApp. And I bought the smartphone, installed WhatsApp, and it loaded up to the very last set of messages that were saved before I turned off the S8 Plus. And one of the last messages that I would have received from January 4th or 5th or whichever day I turned off the phone for good was a message from Model saying, "Greetings, bro. I am local president for JCI St. Andrew, and I want to tell you more about this organization. I'm inviting you to our General Assembly in January, whatever the date was." And I had started responding. I said like, "Hey, Odell, blah blah blah." I got caught up in work, so I didn't get to finish to send the follow-up message. He called and he said, "I've been waiting to hear from you for 7 months." And I said, I'll come to the General Assembly this week. Went to General Assembly virtually. The following month, I attended mid-year meeting virtually, which would have been hosted by you as national president. And that was it. That's a divine story. I feel like the Lord has called me to be a JC.
So you turn off your phone, get a new phone,
Yeah.
and one of the first messages you immediately caught up back with was an invitation to JCI.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if your audio is sounding a little bit low. I don't know what about others who are watching.
I'm not sure. I haven't done anything different, if any member in the audience, if you have my,
Yes, you're sounding a little bit.
I'm sounding better now.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. So, your first impressions, though. Be honest. Your first impressions.
Why? All right. So I I really came to that first meeting to appease him because over the phone, he was trying hard to sell me on this JCI thing. But COVID had left me um in a demotivated space because I remember when the pandemic was announced and we were told to Tana yard, everything was down. That date was March 12th, right? The following Monday would have been the first hosting of the Ready Set Go conference, right? Spearheaded by Salises, in collaboration with, I think, UNESCO and Jutes and a few others. And I was on the planning committee for that very first conference. And I dry cleaned my jacket and I was ready for the conference. I had a few other things lined up. One of them, I had submitted a business plan proposal or a business plan to an investor. And the person told me that, this looks like something I'll invest in. And so that was now something that was going. And there were a few other things, and I was really motivated. I was really looking forward to what the future had in store for me. I actually had 2 job offers at the time, and I was told that, once you finish your last exam, give us a call and we talk further. And so it felt like I was in cloud nine. I was at the top of the mountain. And then the Thursday was, I think, the first confirmed outbreak, the Thursday, because on that day we had a conference. My group had to do a conference for one of our assignments, as one of our assignments at school. And that was a Thursday. I was dropped at church, drove home, woke up Friday morning. I'm told that nobody should leave home, but I had to come to give one of our exhibitors some products that they had left. And I mean, I had to be calling all kind of people to get into school because everything closed. And that was it. Everything just wrap up, concluded. And so when he was inviting me to JCI, I've poured out my all. I worked so hard and I had everything lined up for me as a fruit of my labor. And now it gone. Like, what's the purpose of going into another youth space to work hard and volunteer and sacrifice? And I already saw where all of these years of working hard and sacrifice and knowing the right people and doing the right thing got me nowhere. And so I was not particularly interested, but let me appease him. A good youth. Let me forward. But then the other thing about JCI was I felt like, and I think a lot of young people feel this way, I felt like I knew enough when it came on to leadership and advocacy and representation. I knew enough. I'd been to a lot of the training workshops, some of them residential, big up NIA. I know that some persons give them flack, but I think they have done a good job of investing in youth leaders and youth advocates. Big up UNESCO, big up Ministry of Education all the time. And I have to give our government props because I would have been a youth leader starting on the national level, starting 2017. So I have only known the level of engagement with this party's government. And I think they have done a tremendous job of engaging youth leaders, of providing resources and opportunities for youth leaders. And I would have benefited greatly, right? So I want to, big up the Prime Minister, big up the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, at least where youth engagement is concerned, right? Don't take me on about anything else. And so I felt like I had gotten a lot of trainings, I'd gotten a lot of information. I knew enough. And for the selling point of JCI to be a leadership training organization, for me to come and devote my time to learning more of what I already knew and sacrificing in ways I already sacrificed and going to trainings I've already attended, it wasn't the most appealing thing. And then I showed up. and it was different. It was the first time being in a space as a young person where the Roberts Rules of Parliamentary Procedure, the Roberts Rules of Order, um, was actually adhered to such great extent. Personal privilege to go to step outside and take a call or use the restroom, and rising, to speak on all of these things. And it was interesting, especially my first in-person meeting in September. It was like, all right, I guess there's something to learn. And then in 2021, as a local vice president and as a member of the debate team that won the debating competition that year for the Americas, hosted virtually by JCI Panama, that was when I was now exposed to the international aspect of JCI. And I realized that I know a lot, but not enough. And so JCI just became this new chapter, this new space for me to learn and develop even further beyond what I believe to be possible. So first impression was very good. The expectations were low, but those first couple of months, they surpassed any expectations I could have even put together. Yes, it was good. Long story short.
And I don't want to prolong the story, but it's funny enough that you said that, because I think I had the same experience with COVID as you did. I mean, I came from an high in 2019, being to Japan, JCI Japan Academy in Kawazawa. Came from that high, came into 2020, and then everything changed. You were just told to go home, don't go nowhere, sit down in my apartment. What the heck happened? And I went kind of, dormant for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. It was, and I don't know if she's watching this, but it was Senator Karen Grant who called me, and she said, "Mr. President, how are you? What are you doing? You need to do something. The organization cannot die. You're national president. This is your year, 2020. It is playing out as it is. You need to get up and you need to go and do something." And I was like, okay, all right. Senator Karen, someone who I respect because she has always been there for me, is calling me and telling me that I need to go and do something. So I look up virtual platforms, Zoom, and just like that, I signed up for a Zoom account, paid for it, and said, all right, this is JCI Jamaica Zoom account. And that was the Zoom account that was used to facilitate all of us, inclusive of yourself. And now I'm hearing this story to say you are basically at a point where, like myself, you were saying, okay, what the heck is happening here? 2020 was supposed to be the year. Everybody in 2019 was talking about, 2020. And then 2020 came and they told us that we can't socialize. We can't go to church. We can't go to work. We can't go to JCI meeting. I can't get to go back to Japan for World Congress. What the heck? Yeah. So, Senator Karen, thank you. Big up, because if you didn't call, I don't think I would have done anything, to be honest, because I was overwhelmed. And, we were having some, on a personal level, I was having some challenges with family because I realized that COVID, everybody was together, and COVID kind of bring out some things in families that you probably didn't even know existed. And you're like, damn. Yeah, so now I'm realizing that decision to press on, actually ended up giving you the opportunity to come out of your dungeon.
Yes.
And then Yeah. Cool. Yeah, yeah. Yes, we're going to move on. We good. So I think you answered the question why you stayed. Though. I think you answered that question. Do you have anything to say about it? Else, why did you stay? Yeah, you participate in debate in Panama. You won, but that you could have moved on. So why did you stay? What else?
Ah, so what my journey in JCI? There's so many things. I'm trying to arrange them.
Yeah, let's summarize them. We have an hour to go, but we don't have to take the hour. So we don't have to. So let's summarize it. Yeah.
Right, now to arrange and summarize. So
Yeah.
JCI has given me so many things, right? And I mean, as a man of God, I'd say that God through JCI, He has used JCI to bless my life in so many ways. In terms of experiences, and you are aware of the travel, but most importantly, well, experiences, the travel, um, and most importantly, the opportunity to grow, develop, and serve. Right. And I mean to post it on social media, but I'll preempt that post a little. That even as I reflected on 2025, I remember there was almost tears. There were almost tears in my eyes as I thought about the fact that at every high point for JCI Jamaica was a low point for me personally, whether financially or issues at work or issues at home, issues at church. And it was because I was giving so much, pouring so much into the organization that it was taken from other areas. And again, that is one of the things about leadership, especially servant leadership. Big up Excelsior again for helping me to understand what that is. And so that has been it, the moments of connection. Right? I remember 2024 when I was National Executive Vice President. And I remember for the month of March and April, I did so much driving. I was everywhere. Right? And I booked the 7-seater out of pocket and I full it of gas. And I called some members from different chapters and I said, we're going to Hopewell for the evening.
Yeah, I remember.
Right. And we drive up to Hopewell. And I said, boy, God, I don't know. I'm spending money like I have money, But it was just, I hear the senators say that their days in JCI was beautiful because of the connection and the relationships. And I was adamant that we're coming out of COVID, but we're out of COVID. We need to build some of those. We need to, we need to connect. We need to inter-chapter relations, etc., etc. I was in Hopewell, and then I was in Clarendon twice for their health fair and again for their social, and that's the JCI Clarendon Steering Committee. And if you are in Clarendon, we need you. We need JCI Clarendon to go from steering committee to chapter this year. So we need you to come on board. You can message Senator Shane or myself privately, or even our national president, Markland, through or any one of our social media handles, JCI Jamaica. Let us talk. Right, I was in St. Thomas with our steering committee at the time, doing a planning session. I was all over the place, and it brought so much joy and fulfillment. And so JCI, I believe, has given me so much. I do want to acknowledge the JCI Kingston Trust. I don't know if any of the trustees are watching, but they have invested so much into this organization and so much into my own growth and development. And I don't believe we recognize their contribution enough.
Yeah.
So I want to recognize persons like yourself, Senator Shane, right? You don't have the senator there, but I will add it because it's your appropriate title. I don't think you realize how much your encouragement, your support means to us as younger members who are growing. And I've said it before. I don't know if I've said it to your face, but I've said it behind your back several times. That when I think of your generation of JCI Jamaica members, I don't think there's anyone that has been more impactful to JCI Jamaica than you, right? Over the past 5 years, the past 6 years, you have served on every board. So your time as national president ended in 2020, IPP ended in 2021. You could have said bye. You were an advisor, You are a director in 2022, a director in 2023, a director in 2024, advisor 2025, advisor 2026. You continue to guide us, you continue to pour into us. And so, big up yourself, Senator Shane. We appreciate you. And I also want to big up my family who have supported me so excellently, financially, emotionally, physically, mentally. I love my family so much. God bless them. And I see that I saw a comment from her earlier, and I do want to acknowledge Zaviska Lamsberg, who has also been a very important
Okay, Prezi.
of
Okay, I keep me.
my journey, not just in JCI, but also in life since 2023. And, I do want to acknowledge her contribution to the man and the leader I am today. Thank you, Zaviska. And of course, I have to big up my brethren in JCI. The clique, I heard they call us, right? Senator Odell,
Behave yourself. Yeah.
President Marklon. These gentlemen, Secretary General Miguel, past National Vice President Michael, these gentlemen have you've seen it. We've traveled together, we've won debating championships together, and we've fought against each other, together with each other, or together against the world. And I really appreciate the brotherhood. I appreciate that community that we've built and all the other persons who have joined the community as the years have passed. Thank you all. God bless you all. I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. Believe. I'm very grateful.
And thank you for that. I do not, probably I didn't say it to you, but I traveling with you and the team last year to Honduras, where, and commendations to you, that was our largest delegation to ERA conference since we became a national organization in 2011, 2012, somewhere about there.
13. Well, 2012.
And
Yeah.
it was a pleasure to watch you handle all the varying curveballs that came at us from Norman Manley International Airport. Number one, you were late.
No, I'm not going to
You, I mean, you came late, and guys, we were the last ones to go on the plane, and we were just taking our little time, walking and talking, nearly 10 of us, when we saw the team coming. Are you guys such and such and such? The plane is basically full. We're ready to go.
let us take a quick pin, right, before you continue.
Ready?
I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, right, and I hope that if anybody feel guilty, you're supposed to feel guilty. You need to, when your president speaks, listen to the president, because I had advised the team, if you have space in your check bag, don't put it in until I get there. Now, the reason I was late was because there were two of our sponsors who were they were sponsoring liquor, right? And I couldn't get through to them, and I don't know why they were available on Sunday morning, because bad enough that I was missing church to fly. But then I'm missing church to fly, and I'm collecting liquor on the way.
Liquor, yeah.
Already, right? But I went and I collected the liquor, so that made me late. But then when we get to the airport, I see that the persons who had asked to not put in their check bag already put in their check bag. So now we are there for half an hour trying to juggle around the liquor, and it was so good that I thought ahead and I brought some extra bags from home, because persons had the option of a carry-on but didn't bring a carry-on. So then next thing you look, this member have a carry-on that have clothes from that member's suitcase, so that member can hold some of the sponsored items. And then Senator Shane, he had a jacket bag with his 3 or 4 jacket that he thought would have been safe and their structural integrity would have been preserved. And next thing you know, we full of him jacket bag, a biscuit and souvenir and clothes, and mind sharp, he was opening and seeing female clothes and trying to figure out whose clothes these are. But I think what was interesting, even as I reflect on that experience, while I was very upset, you couldn't see it, but I was turning red on the inside. I was very upset with the fact that persons check their bag, even though I tell them, wait for me to come. People get nervous and check them bag. I was still happy. I couldn't show it, but I was happy to see the camaraderie and the community that we had as JCI members. Because there were members who were meeting each other for the first time. But the moment we saw that there was an issue, everybody jumped to start putting hands on deck. How are we going to solve this? How are we going to figure this out? How are we going to do this, do that, do that, do that? And I think that is the beauty of JCI. Because if you are a member of JCI and you're actually paying attention to the tenets of JCI, the principles that JCI try to engender within us, then you understand the importance of solving issues. We can't just sit down and talk about it.
Yeah, because what are we going to do? We are going to Honduras. You came, you just showed, and we everybody was like, all right, guys. Somebody say, all right, see the jacket bag. Yeah, come, show a biscuit, show stocking, show skirt, pants, show everything there. let's go. And then I just fold it up, roll it, put it, and I mean, shoes go in that, shoes go there. So, and we were just like, just distributed, and everybody in the airport were just looking at us and said, what are these guys doing? I was just, take this, take that.
But it shows that you guys know this, because even when I was saying, all right, guys, I think we figured it out. You've checked in. Go ahead of us. So all of us are late. And I said, no, we will go together.
Exactly. Yes, yeah. yeah, because you were saying, guys, go ahead. I am good. And every one of us was like, no, we are not leaving you. You are our president. And so we were all going to miss the plane.
We were running down that last stretch, but it was good. It was a full experience. And it was good to have a senior member with us, because there were several moments when your presence and your counsel was essential for us as we navigated it. Because I think that JCI Jamaica, clearly we have a lot of intellectuals, we have a lot of bright people, but sometimes the brilliance is not enough. And so, again, big up yourself, Senator Shane, for providing that seniority, that maturity, that experience to help us through that process. But it was good. It was good. JCI, 12-man delegation, biggest delegation in over years. Newspaper article. It was fantastic for us.
All right. So your high points and the low points of your JCI career so far. What are the high points, low points?
Let's feel more personal. High point. If I'm to think of high point, there's so many. There's so many high points. If I was to choose
Japan Academy or not?
I think Japan Academy is definitely a high point.
Switzerland, debating.
So I'll go with Switzerland. Japan is a very close second. Switzerland, when we were announced the world debating champion. No, I'm still upset. I hope she isn't upset with me. But I'm still upset with the VP from, I think it was the VP from Europe, who had announced our names. And the way she said my name, we weren't sure they were talking about our team. It was like, Ronaldo. With then national president Odell jumping 6 feet in the air, and if you know his height, you know that 6 feet is quite a feat. Standing on that stage and looking at the 3,000 plus leaders from across the world cheering us on, and seeing the Americas team, and including our current JCI World President, Alejandro. Yes, seeing him just cheering us on. I was, but also the entire Japan Academy, JCI Academy / JCI Japan Academy experience. It's JCI Academy, right? But it's held in Japan, so that experience was beautiful, because it was really an opportunity to delve further into self, to better understand who am I and what makes me the right person to not only lead my organization next year, but to also lead my own life. It was great. Again, it was wonderful to have gone through that experience with Zoe Scalamsberg. Who's a dear friend and supporter. And I was also a group leader throughout the academy, and I think that also helped to enhance the experience because then I'm supposed to be at this academy of leaders, and I'm under pressure to lead leaders, and that is the kind of thing that JCI does. The kind of development it fosters to prepare us for the real world, to go into different spaces and different organizations and lead. Yeah. No, high points. Those are the high points. Low points. What comes to mind first and foremost was 2023 at our national convention. You might remember when the recommendation that was coming from the nominations committee is that I was not yet fit enough to serve as an EVP at the national level, and I received a failing grade. And it was that year for me. Oh yes, I agree. I'm seeing the comments here and there. We'll have more interviews. I'm sure Senator Shane will line them up.
Yeah, we will have more interviews, definitely.
And that moment for me, because 2023 was a very interesting year for me. And not a lot of persons know because I don't talk about certain things. But I was actually made redundant in March of 2023.
Whoa, whoa.
When I think of redundancy, I tend to think of people in their 40s and 50s. I wouldn't expect that at the tender age of, what was I, 23, that I would have been made redundant. But the company I was with at the time as a supervisor, they were changing owners, and so it's wipe the slate clean, bring in some new management so that the new ownership had new managers and supervisors working with the whole explanation. And so there I was made redundant, and I did my best to keep positive. I remember using my last to ensure that I got to the American Leadership Academy, right? Because there were some costs that I had to cover. And I remember getting to Allah in Santa Marta, Colombia. And there were moments throughout Allah where I was, and throughout the conference, even during the whole debating and all of that, which of course we won at the conference level. But throughout the whole process, there were moments I was already thinking of, all right, I'm going to go back home, what's next? Because, it's sending out here, applications here and there. I've not seen anything I am particularly drawn to. What's next? And then at some point in the year, I think like July, it was less about what's next and more about it was less about what do I want to do and more about I just need to do something, right? Because now I'm not just thinking about my future, but I'm also thinking about my JCI career. And JCI have traveling, and when you're serving on national level, you're expected to be everywhere. And and I'm applying everywhere. I took a loan from my parents to buy a car for a job, and then the people them stop, like they refuse to give me the contract. And how foolish of me to buy a a car before getting the contract, and then they cut communication, and it was a mess. It was crazy. And I remember this specific moment I was reflecting on earlier, where this was August. I came upstairs and I asked my mother for, I think it was about $2,000. Right, I'm getting extremely personal now. So that I could go to JCI Portmore's General Assembly, because I made it a duty of mine to not miss any General Assemblies for any of my assigned chapters. So I was as president at every General Assembly, even if I had to, in the latter months, bounce mommy or bounce daddy and get a little money in my pocket for go. I ensured I missed nothing JCI. And I went and I turned on the vehicle and I put on my seatbelt and I connect my phone to the Bluetooth and I had some gospel rap bumping and I'm ready to drive out, and I saw that the needle was almost an E. And so I'm looking at this $2,000 and I'm saying it's either this $2,000 where buy gas to get to Portmore. But then if I buy gas to get to Portmore, how we pay toll? And if I drive the longer way, I might run out of gas. So I was sitting there and some tears came, but Batman no cry, so I had to pull it back up and turn off the vehicle. And I took a deep breath, and then I closed the vehicle, put the key on my desk, and I walked down the road and I jumped on a taxi and I went to Portmore and I put on my biggest smile, and I was there. And so it was a year, it was a very hard year. It was a year of spending my last laps on JCI, on service to our members, on being as present as possible. If you remember, I was a bus driver for first national meeting, bringing members from Kingston and St. Andrew in this highest bus that we had rented.
You came to the center.
Right, in Montego Bay. In mid-year meeting, as a designated driver, I brought around the
You drove the bus. You dropped me home that night.
Hopewell, right? That's right.
In Hopewell, yeah.
In the big bus, in mid-year meeting, I was driving around the VP and our national president throughout our visit as the international vice president, and then in the meeting itself, I was the one going to get the food and all of that. It was just, for me, it was just a year of service, and I remember that moment when the recommendation was read, and it felt like I'd given my all, and it was now a matter of, or a question of, is the organization rejected? Is it that all have been in naught? And I remember looking at my younger brother's face, right? Because I would have brought them into the organization. And I saw how upset he was. I have never seen my brothers upset. We're some of the calmest, coolest people, And that was the needle that broke the horse's back, or the camel's back. Because I've never seen this man so upset. And this man hear this recommendation and look like he's ready to fight somebody. And as an older brother, I want to protect him and defend him. But then he's upset because I'm the one being, I'm the one being told you're not good enough. And but then after that, I was awarded most outstanding national officer for 2023, and General Assembly elected me to serve as EVP and disregarded the recommendation that came from the nominations committee, which for me meant that even if the nomination committee rejected me, the organization did not. And in 2024, I continued service. And so that was the lowest point. But here I am, 2026. I would have done my best as national president 2025. I am now an international officer, serving on the American Development Council as a commissioner. And so I continue to give God thanks. It's a lot. It's a lot. It has been a lot. It has been a lot.
Wow. Yeah. And I am happy that there are those of us who were there, and this organization provided you with the opportunity to experience thorns and roses, because the nominations committee report would have been the thorn, but then General Assembly turned out to be the rose. Yeah. And General Assembly has the power to do anything.
I'm grateful that they do.
And we are always grateful that General Assembly has that power. Yes. So you have traveled. How many countries have you traveled to?
So JCI, for JCI,
for JCI, yes.
JCI. I mean, all of it has been directly and indirectly JCI. If we are counting countries I've stayed in,
all of them. Stayed in, past all of them.
It is 11. But if you're counting,
Wow.
if we're including pass through, then it's 18. But a part of
Wow.
that is because of some of my fellows here might understand it as the pot express, right? And that's a term that we have coined. It's an inside joke to refer to routes that are, longer than necessary. But it would have been necessary for a few of the trips, based on the destination and looking at what would have been, the cheapest path. It, sometimes it required some hopping, some country hopping, and some spending 2 nights here and some 4 nights there. Especially when I look at my trip, my journey to the academy in Japan, and it started on June 30th, and I got to Japan all the way on July 4th, which is the day we're designated to land, to arrive to the academy. And so I actually had to spend a day in Brazil, and then from Brazil to Turkey, spent a day in Turkey, and then from Turkey to Japan, and some long flights. And then I look at even Tunisia, where I had to go spend a day in Brazil, and then from Brazil to Italy, spend the night in Italy, and then from Italy to...
You went to Italy?
Yeah, spent a night in Italy.
Dude, so you have a thing about where you just keep the Reneil. You have a thing with just, all right, continue. Continue.
Right. So yeah, it was and so we overnighted in Italy, and then but coming back, because of the hurricane and the flights being overbooked, I wasn't able to get my initial return flight to Jamaica. So I had to spend, I think it was 4 days in Brazil, and I had to dig deep and find accommodation money, find food money. Thankfully, there was a place I'd used in 2024 when coming back from Japan, and I also had to spend some days in Brazil. So that little place in Sao Paulo, that's where I stayed. And I already knew the area, so I could find the cheap food and all of that. And I must say thank you to my employer, and that way say my employer publicly, but if anybody from HR is watching, thank you for accommodating that special request, because I tell you, Senator Shane, when I saw that my flight was rescheduled, or I was moved to a much later flight. Oh God, man, I get nervous. I wondering if I'm going to hear about job abandonment, but they accommodated me, and I'm grateful to my supervisors, my manager, and everybody in HR who had to play some role in that special request, because I didn't have the days. And I'm sure I could have been written up for job abandonment, but they didn't do it. So God bless you. Thank you very much. I'm in your debt.
Boss man, I hope you brought to all of these experiences of 18 countries and all of that you have done through, and make it into a package that will be able to transform your life financially, spiritually, all of those alleys, and also transform Jamaica and probably transform the world, because to be hopping from plane and trying to figure out how to get from point A to point. I mean, Japan stressed me out, and I was basically, I didn't go through all of your stress, because I had a US visa, and I was connected with a friend, Marcelo. So I was told where to meet Marcelo and all of those things. It was from Jamaica, MBJ, to USA, and straight into Japan. You had to go through all
and
my youth.
I tell you
My
what.
youth.
I tell you what. I think the craziest part of it is doing all of it, and Japan alone, the 2 suitcase. No,
Yeah.
you've traveled with me when I started mastering this whole suitcase packing. But guys like
Mm-hmm.
National President Markland and Senator
And
Odell,
Odell, yeah.
they can tell you about when I didn't know about packing. So when I saw that Japan is allowing two check-in, yes man, I was fully packed. So the two big heavy bags plus the carry-on and the and the personal item, and I had a what do you call this as well? I had my fanny pack where I keep my passport and wallet for ease of access. And I saw me I moved through, and then I got to Brazil, and one of the wheels and one of the checked-in bags break. And so now I have one bag with three wheels and the next bag, and I'm going through, and it was it was it was good times, good times.
Good times. All right, we're coming down, guys. Thank you for watching. Please share the live. This is real life on JBL Entertainment TV. I'm your host, Shane Reed. We are back, and we will be back for a long time. Um, this is the first of many interviews with JCI members, and some of those who are watching and typing in the chat and sending all sort of emojis. Please prepare yourself because you will be next. Whether you are from Suriname or Suriname, whether you're from Bolivia or Barbados or Antigua or Japan or Nigeria, wherever you are from in JCI world, we're going to be talking to you. So get yourself ready. So unexpected benefits from JCI, Mr. IPP and ADC Director. And you do not have to let any puss out of the bag or go too deep though, or reveal any secrets, sir.
Right.
But um, on it, unexpected benefits that you did not expect from JCI that you are now benefiting from, and you might want to share.
Right. I think the most the first benefit I'll talk about, I'll speak to, is community.
Yeah.
I remember, and going back to the lengthy travels, when we were returning to Brazil, and I realized I would have been in Brazil for a while, coming back from Japan in 2024, and I would have touched base with somebody from Brazil who we had debated against in 2023, and he put me in touch with somebody in Sao Paulo, and that person in Sao Paulo put me in touch with somebody from Japeo, Sao Paulo, which is a chapter specific for Japanese descendants living in Sao Paulo. And one of the days we had met up, and they brought me to all of the hidden gems in Sao Paulo. They brought me to their headquarters, the chapter headquarters, and I was able to sit in for a bit on one of their meetings. They presented me with this special token that they give to dignitaries that visit the chapter. We took pictures, we went here, we went there. I see that kind of international community. So it's not just this national community. It's not just my JCI St. Andrew community, but there's this broader community. I saw a message from one of my friends from Antigua earlier, and it's just knowing that, if I end up in one of these countries for business, for pleasure, and I need a room, I can make a call and say, "Ropes," and for those who are not Jamaican, you'll understand ropes in due time, I'm sure. And so that is definitely something I didn't expect, but I enjoy it. I love it so much. I love the international family I have, and I'm happy to belong to something so great because I already love my own family to death, right? But to have this second family or third family, because we have church family too, right? Anyway, I love the JCI family. And I'm also, I would have formed, certain friendships and relationships that have endured the test of time, and so that is also one of those benefits I would have never seen coming, not from a mile, not even when it was meters in front of me. But I remain very grateful, very grateful.
And I wish you all the best in that regard, Mr. IPP. And I know that you all will treat each other well. What is Bill saying? 18 country. I want to double that soon. Yeah. We need some sponsorship and some. Yeah, cool. Yeah, Bill.
You should. And if I could just very quickly, Senator Shane, I do want to also very I do I want to again I want to big up and thank JCI Kingston Trust.
Yeah, we can't leave them out. Yeah.
Again, the level of support they've provided to JCI Jamaica is immense. I want to thank my family again because they would have also supported me quite a bit. I want to thank all friends, family members who would have supported. And I also want to very publicly acknowledge HWPL as well. We would have become one of their associates, would have become associated with the organization in 2023 under National President Odell. And then last year in 2025, we would have signed to become one of their associated youth partners, right? Which would have further formalized that partnership with them. And what they would have done was to ensure that as National President of JCI Jamaica, I was able to take part in their youth summit in Korea, right? South Korea in September. And they would have assisted tremendously in that process. Because even when I was having issues with the Korean visa form, it wasn't going through, it wasn't accepting my card, all sorts of stuff. And so I do want to also readily acknowledge them as a partner and supporter of JCI Jamaica and Reneil Clarke, right? Because I was a part of JCI Jamaica. And I'm encouraging all our sponsors. I want Shout Out Brand Teas would have supported our Conference of America last year. I think they have some of the best teas I've ever tasted. And take that from somebody who has had tea in 11 countries, right? So, it's a strong recommendation. You can try the lemongrass, ensure you get a box of their lemongrass, but all their teas are amazing. And our dear Senator Sophia Harris, she has Dominic's collection. There's also, I am not remembering, I'll find it back, but she has some businesses that are serving communities in Hopewell, in Montego Bay, and those businesses have also supported JCI Jamaica. And so we want to acknowledge them. We want to acknowledge every sponsor. If I've left out anyone, right, pull me aside and count me. But once you supported Reneil Clarke, once you supported JCI Jamaica, thank you so very much. All right, that's the ad.
That's the ad, yeah. Yeah, that's the commercial. I think, why JCI? Thank you, Yochel.
No, but it's not even Yochel, it's Life Pack. And
Life Pack.
You notice I said anybody who I don't call him, pull me aside and count me. I want everybody from Life Pack Foundation to pull me aside and count me one by one. Not too hard, because my head kind of soft, you know what I mean? But Life Pack Foundation, listen, I didn't know anything about Life Pack Foundation. I did not know their proprietors very well before. And 2025, at the start of 2025, was when we had a connection, was when we established a relationship. And Life Pack Foundation would have been a part of every project, both in terms of execution and in terms of sponsorship. And so, big up Life Pack Foundation. Life Pack Foundation supported so many things across 2025. And I know that in 2026, they will continue to support. And what I will say, if you are on this live, if you are in Hopewell, Hanover, if you're in Montego Bay, if you're in Kingston, and you don't have a doctor, you don't have access to your own private medical services, and they do both the traditional medicine and the holistic medicine. So whether you want them to prescribe over-the-counter pills or you want them to get the bush medication, they have all the remedies. They are the ones I now use as my private doctors. And so LifePack Medical Services and LifePack Foundation ensure you support them because they're playing their part in supporting Jamaica. Not just JCI Jamaica, but Jamaica. Big up LifePack. And enough for conk me again. Right? Enough for conk me again.
All right. Anymore? We're at breakfast in Honduras. And we're saying so. We're at breakfast in Honduras. And here is Dr. Foreign. What you saying? You don't have any breakfast? No member of the team, no member of the team is going to be here, and we can't have breakfast and we can't have lunch, and then sometimes we bounce off each other and we say, well, if I can't do it, then Foreign will do it.
And you know, Senator Shane, I tell you, I will never forget how my heart sunk when you guys shared with me, because when I was doing the booking, it assured me when I was completing the booking, it assured me that the breakfast was provided. So when I saw that now and I booked it, I thought they're taken care of, because I would have stayed at an accommodation that was closer to HQ, because you know how JCI go, we have the little meetings and stuff, and meetings and all these things. So I needed to be closer to the action, and the team was a little further. So I would have never imagined that when I was there and waking up and stretching and going downstairs to the breakfast layout and sharing my breakfast, and I even had the pleasure of amazing company for breakfast. I would have never imagined in my wildest dream that the team was back at the other accommodation, figuring if they're going to swipe your card or director. And I remember when you guys told me, oh God, man, I felt like such a bad person. Like I put the team in wilderness, and then I call it.
Look, it was. I mean, it was so good that we all seem to have traveled with some form of contingency. And there were times when I would just do something and look, and I'm like, I'm in my pocket, and I'm like, okay, this is 20 US.
And you know, Senator Shane, you remember a particular dialogue where when I was presenting the budgetary breakdown from that trip, and I was being asked repeatedly about this amount that was attributed to the delegation. And how do you break down that amount? And I'm saying I cannot break it down, because when you look at receipts, when you look at the amount that was spent, just know say it covered. So I can't tell you that, oh, Senator Shane did swipe him card for 500 US and Foreign swipe for 1,000 and me swipe for this and other swipe. I can't really tell you, because in the moment it was just, all right, we're hungry. How much you have, how much me have. In the moment, we remember the whole debacle to get back to San Pedro and get back to the
San Pedro, yeah.
All right, we take ferry. We take taxi bring you to the wrong place. We take our next taxi to the next bus, and the bus bring we, and then the bus pass the airport, even though them say they must stop at the airport, and we take our next taxi, and my bag get lost, and me now take taxi to try find the taxi on my bag. And it was just, all right, I have 200 US, you have 100 US, you have 300 US, you have 400, let's put it together and get it done. And it was impossible to track. But it was a beautiful experience, because it was just one big happy Jamaican family.
Yeah. One of the funny things was to reach the airport and saw Yotel and Farid basically laid out.
Laid out.
Waiting on us.
Listen, carry on pillow. And them have sheet. And them have this. I'm not saying, but because I remember we were walking through the airport and we're like, we know those faces. We've heard those snores before.
Yeah, it was such a relief to finally reach that airport and see them, and because we went through, yeah, we went through hell. We went through hell. All right, guys, we're coming down. We're coming down. Rennie, you're still with us?
Yeah, just a quick moment. I don't know if you could maybe highlight some of the comments for just a quick second.
Yeah, I don't know what Bell could do. Because I'm using my phone, I'm not seeing the comments. Because they used to pop up at the side, and I could see them. I don't know if you want to read some of the comments, but I'm not seeing them. Bell, I don't know, and I can't go into chat WhatsApp because if I do, then I will. So J Bell, I know, guys. I'm sorry. I think I don't even know if Bell is in the chat because they are having. I'm in Hopewell. He's in Montego Bay, and they are having their internet there is not so good. So yeah. So Bell, if you're seeing, sorry guys for the not being able to read because the chats come up and then they disappear. And but when we are doing the next set of interviews, and by then I should have my laptop back. Then Honduras was just a vibes, love. That's yeah, Mark. Honduras was a vibe.
Yeah.
And to our bus driver and everybody, dig up yourself. Those those sessions on that bus coming down, yeah. Cards were just swiping. Yes, Senator Odell, but just a swipe.
You know, I tell you, you would have seen it in the when I would have provided that personal expenditure breakdown during the transition meeting. But I had to go back through my account, and I remember I was like, I have so much to spend after me now, after me never have that to spend. But then, you know, when you put it in the context, because then there were moments where you know, I wasn't even with the team and there was still spending going on. So it was just, and boy, it felt like every day, every hour, there was something else not expected. But we won't believe
it. We have learned our lesson, and definitely our future experiences will be better. Farin was everywhere. Farin was one. He got an award. When you look, Farin is there. Then Farin is gone over there. Then he
yeah, man, he was everywhere, and I have to, you know, I really have to big him up because he and current VP, national VP, your children would have also gone to JCI Suriname's national convention in Barbados to represent Jamaica, and they would have chaired sessions, they would have done speeches. I remember the reception, the feedback was very good, very, very good, excellent. And you know, it's very good to see our members, you know, lighting the torch and blazing their fires as well. It's good. It's good.
All right, why JCI?
Why JCI? It's a good question. Why JCI? Because what JCI offers, I am yet to see another organization that offers all of those different things. Because you can go somewhere else and get the training, but you won't get, I promise you from experience, you won't get the same camaraderie, you won't get the same international community. And it won't be the same leadership experience. You can go somewhere else and get the camaraderie, but it won't be the same leadership training. It won't be the same international community. It won't be the same leadership experience. You can go somewhere, right? So if we break down every factor of JCI, there is probably a replacement somewhere for that. But if you put JCI together as a basket, you cannot replace it. From the leadership experience, from the push to understand the Robert's Rules of Parliamentary Procedure, Robert's Rules of Order, from the push to understand protocol, to understand your local constitution and the national constitution and the international constitution. And now that I'm on the ADC, I have to understand the ADC, constitution. And you, but while you're doing all of that understanding of protocols, you're also now having to understand leadership within the professional space. This is not leadership at work. This is not leadership in a service organization. This is leadership in a professional organization or an organization for young professionals, right? You are now called to lead leaders. You're doing public speaking against persons who are politicians in their country. You're debating against lawyers and politicians from other countries. So it's not just, oh, I'm leading in this little club. It is, I'm in this leadership training organization and I'm forced to be such a leader that I can lead and inspire other leaders, other professionals. And then you have this international community where to this day, Senator Shane, you went to the academy in Japan in 2019. And I know you still have friends who I tell you, Shane, when you're going to come to my country, they're probably saying it in another language. Right? But it is such a beautiful thing as well, because that aspect, when I was in Tunisia and just there and seeing persons from the academy in Japan, my brother from Serbia, Damian, big up yourself, Damian, Leisha from Antigua, West Indies President 2025, all of these, of course, Zaviska from Suriname, Suriname President 2025, all of these individuals, and I know these people, and we're having fun, and they're speaking their language, and I don't understand, but we're having fun, and I remember my first year conference as I wrap up my comments, and Markland can tell you about it, right? And just being there and seeing 21 booths right around the space in Curacao. 21 different countries are coming represented, and you go to the booth and you can taste their snacks. You can get a pen. You can get a cultural symbol. You can taste their drinks, right? Watching, and you can sample this country, and you've never been there before. So imagine when I went to my first World Congress in Switzerland. And it was like 80 countries, 90 countries represented. I've never seen this many cultures in any one place before. And so that is not something that you can replicate either. And so when you put all of the different aspects of JCI together, it is irreplaceable, completely irreplaceable. So that is why JCI. That is why.
Yeah. Pause. Guys, thank you for the commendations. I really appreciate you guys for joining and watching, and we hope to have you for other interviews. As I said, they just pop up and they disappear. So I'm seeing the comments, and I'm sure Reneil is seeing the comments, and thank you for joining us. I mean, we're not prolonging the show, but Bell has been cussing me out since 2016. He used to cuss me out because, oh, JCI, everything is JCI. And he couldn't understand why I do JCI. And he used to cuss me. And cuss me. Focus on real life. Focus on JBL. You can do it. You can do it. And when he calls me, I'm at a JCI meeting. Dude, what is it? JCI is voluntary. And I say, Bell, you do not understand. You do not understand. But you will understand one day. Because, listen, and I thanks to all the senators, but I go back to Senator Karen Grant. She was at Roundale. This lady says to me, I am a professional, I am a teacher. She says to me, Mr. VP, when you leave work, please come by my office at Roundale and let us have a talk. I go, and she's like, all right, you are chairing this healthcare project. Do you understand how to do this? She said to me, I will never forget this. Mr. VP, 1 pound of rice can share for 5 person. I'm like, why is she doing this? What is this organization all about? Because I don't know this lady. I've never, it is through JCI that I've met her. And here she is. She's obviously has a lot of things to do. And she's invited me in her office, at her workplace, after work. She could have gone home. And she's sitting me down and she's walking me through one pound of rice here, feed 5 person. 1 pound of chicken, feed this, and that, and that. And I'm like, there's something about this organization. She comes to a project, she says, Mr. VP, do you have any photos? I say, I have no time for photos, Senator Karen. Mr. VP, if there are no photos, it is not done. And I'm like, what do you mean it is not done? I am here walking up and down, working, doing that. And you're going to look at me and tell me, oh, I didn't take photos, it's not done. And you mentioned Japan. Yo, we reached Japan on the 4th of July. It's like late and we all speak different languages. And we are in Japan, walking up and down, looking food to eat. And there is the Spanish, and there is the French, and there is the Moldovan, and there is the Jamaican, and there is the Syrian. And we are all together. We have never met each other in our life. And in one moment, it's as if we knew each other all our lives. And why? We're JCs, and you're like, this is obvious. this is strange. What do you mean that I see you and automatically we are like, yeah, wagwan. We just chill and we are talking and we are laughing and we are trying to. And all the cultures, we know that cultures are different. We know that there are problems in the world. But right there as JCs, it's as if none of those problems exist. And we actually believe that the brotherhood of man transcends the sovereignty of nations in those moments. Yeah, in those moments. All right, your career plans in JCI. We're coming down.
Currently, I'm serving as ADC commissioner. And I will say that I am open to where the JCI leads, right? And so I have amazing advisors within JCI. They're able to provide guidance on your JCI career. And we have amazing leaders, both within JCI Jamaica and at the area level in JCI America and at the world level. And I'll continue to lean on these individuals and to have them play their part in helping me progress. I am here to serve, and whatever service looks like, I am available for it. And I will also say, I'll add this, that as I plan for the future, right, and the future includes commitments and stuff like that. At some point, service might be limited to what my family, the family that I live and live to create. It might be limited to what they're willing to allow me to. But for as long as I can, I have age on my side, I believe, with 13 years left in this great organization. And I also believe I have the Lord on my side. So for as long as I can, I'll continue to serve all members. And for as long as I have breath, I'll continue to serve Jamaica. So, that might be my launch pad for my political career as
You're a diplomat, sir. You're a diplomat, very diplomatic. But I'm sure if the wife is JC's, which if she's a JC's, she will know how to, she will understand. She will give you parameters, and she will set the boundaries and say, all right, Mr. President, All right, Ozzy or Reneil, you know that you can't go over there and do all of that now because I am here.
Yes.
So, very, very, very diplomatic response. Very. How can JCI be better? Because there are improvements needed. How can we be better?
Um, I mean, of course, there are specific factors that will be applicable at different levels, chapter level, national level, international. I think I won't address any chapter in the short time we have left. I think at the national level, JCI Jamaica, we do need to focus on um, not redefining ourselves, but rather zoning in even further on who we are, right? We are the premier leadership training organization, not just in the world, but in Jamaica. And so we need to ensure that when persons think of JCI Jamaica, it's in the same way when they think of the JCs of Jamaica, that they're thinking of leaders, they're thinking of leadership development for young people, they're thinking of or thinking about the leaders and the quality of leaders we produce into the corporate space, into the political space, into the diplomatic space. And so we need to ensure that we are defined by leadership and by proper leadership and effective leadership at the national level. On the international level, I do think that JCI internationally, that should also be a focus because I think, based on some experiences and conversations I've had, I think when some persons think of JCI at an international level, they might think of the traveling and community. And that is an essential part of the international experience. But then when it comes on to leadership development, that is also a big part of JCI internationally. And I can tell you, I have graduated from the American Leadership Academy, the JCI Academy in Japan. I graduated from the the President program, where I shadowed the 2024 World President Kavin during your conference in Paraguay. I've graduated from the Mentor Mentee program. And so I can tell you that internationally there are leadership development programs and opportunities for all our members. And so we need to ensure that we drive home the point that when you come to the conferences, when you come to the World Congresses, when you attend the different academies, it is not just about the conference. It is not just about the cultural experience and exchange and immersion. It is also about leadership training. And see how best as an organization we can continue to produce the stellar leaders we produced over the 116 years. Right? Because no 111 years, right? No 111, right? Or 111th year. And we need to ensure that the world remembers, that JCI is the one producing these world leaders, these world changers. Sometimes we produce the world changers, but the world doesn't know that it's JCI.
Yeah, yeah.
So we need to ensure that we're packaging these people, and when we push them off, they remain properly packaged. Product of JCI Jamaica. Yeah.
All right, future goals. I think you alluded to two. So there's definitely family, and probably a career in politics. Or you're just being a practicing to become a comedian there. I mean.
I am to the service of my nation in whatever form it comes. So whether it is politics, the diplomatic corps, ministry, whatever it is, or even divine ministry. Once I am serving our nation, serving the Lord, then I am here. I'm available. JCI is 110 years old. We will be 111 on December. That's what, December 15th, 2026 will be 111.
Well, 1915, am I right?
1915. So we're currently 110, 111th year. And I think I saw a message earlier from Senator Burchell and Minister
Yeah, big
Paul.
up Senator Burchell.
He's one of those senators where when if I'm fortunate to see a call coming in from him, I will quickly grab a notebook before I answer so that I can make some notes while he speaks, and trust me, I love when our senators call because it's knowledge, information, experience. Big up our senators.
Yeah. Senator, we stand on the shoulders of giants. From our Danny Williams come all the way down. But people like Senator Burchell was the one who gave us one of his rooms to use to host a meeting in 2017 or somewhere about there. And it was JCI Kingston, JCI St. Andrew, JCI Hopewell, and the standing committee in Montico, because we were in a lull for a while, and somehow, somewhere, he got in contact with us, and we got in contact with him, and he opened his doors and welcome us. So this interview, if Senator Burchell probably didn't afford us that opportunity to use his bedroom, then this interview probably would not be happening. So big up to Senator Burchell, big up to Kingston Trust, big up to all of you. I am not going to even call any more names, but big up to the entire associate member, the entire Senate body for JCI Jamaica. Senator El Suna and Senator Kenneth, thank you for bailing me out in Barbados in 2016 when I didn't walk with the US dollars. I thought I could. There are too many stories. Yo, I didn't walk with US dollars. Went to Barbados, and Senator El Suna and Senator Kenneth. Yeah. And then when I came back to Jamaica, I gave them.
He gave them the Jamaica.
I gave them back the money, especially Senator El Suna. Yo, this is something else. And guys,
if I quickly, Senator Shane. Also, the JCI St. Andrew Finance Committee. It is terrible that it would have slipped my mind earlier, but they would have they have been playing their part in terms of supporting us. And when I say support, it's not just financial support, but also guidance in terms of helping to establish certain connections. And so I want to also thank the senators of the JCI St. Andrew Finance Committee, and all the senators who have supported, who continue to support this generation of JCI members. I don't think JCI would be JCI without you, because you help us to understand the identity, right? And that's how JCI continues. So you pass on the identity, and we are able to understand it, and then go on and pass it on to others and keep it going the same way Senator Shane could receive it and pass it on to us now. So thank you to all our wonderful senators, and special big up to Senator Sam and Senator Sophia. And Senator Sam would have been an instrumental part of the process that led to us becoming
a national organization. Yeah, Senator Sam and Senator Sophia.
Right.
And
then Senator Sophia would have been our first national president. Big up them as well. Definitely.
As we wrap up, let us try and comb our brain to see if we're missing out any sponsors, any supporters. Guys, if we have done that, apologies, because we didn't write down
the sponsorship.
So apologies for that. Senator Paula, big up yourself. And others. Big up yourself, guys. If we're leaving out anybody, hands up. Reneil, thank you for joining us. And thank Bill. I was going to tell him to cancel this because he was having problems getting in on internet and I was like, Bill, all right, we're off. And he's like, nah, flip the phone. Whatever we have to do, we're doing this interview. You are just going to go live and you're going to go and do your thing. You don't have to hear from me. just do your thing. And thank you, Bell. Thank you all guys from all over the world that have joined us. I hope to see you in Antigua.
Yes.
The pocket is kind of weak, so we're looking for sponsorship. All of us here are looking for sponsorship. We are trusted individuals. We have good reputations. We have a legacy that we can show. So if you are interested in partnership with an organization that you will not regret it, then you can reach out to all of our chapters. There's JCI Hopewell, there's JCI Montego Bay, there's JCI Portmore, JCI Kingston, JCI St. Andrew. And then we also hope to do something in Manchester again with Mandeville, with Clarendon, and with St. Thomas.
Yeah.
So you will see this eventually all over YouTube, over Facebook, over X, or over Instagram, or TikTok, wherever you see this interview. Sit down, listen, come and join us. But you must be interested in developing yourself, interested in doing some boring stuff, and willing to spend your own money in developing yourself. So thank you so much. Reneil, last words from you as we wrap up.
I'll keep it short. Thank you so much, Senator Shane and JBL TV, for having me. Thank you to all those who have tuned in live, who will see it later on. And for 2026, I am wishing you a wonderful, productive year, a year of happiness, contentment. Continue serving your community, serving your nation, protecting your family, loving God. God bless you.
All right. And remember us when you ring the Grammy or the Oscar. All right.
I won't forget.
All right, guys. This has been Real Life on JBL Entertainment TV. I'm your host, Shane Reed. I guess Rennie would want me to say Senator Shane Reed. Thank you for being with us. You will see more of us, JCs and non-JCs. You will see more interview. And I'm not going anywhere. We're going to make this work. And see you. Watch us, like us, reach out to us. Bless up. Good night. Be good. God bless you. All right.